So we can get started. Hello and welcome everyone to the second annual How to Break Into Tech panel discussion. My name is Marco T. Lindsey. I'm your host and moderator for this afternoon. I'm a board member for the 100 Black Men of the Bay Area and the Associate Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the UC Berkeley High School of Business. We're hosting this event in conjunction with the San Francisco chapter of the National Black MBA Association. In just 5 hours from now, they'll be hosting a virtual session on how to improve your resume with practical strategies. These two conversations go hand in hand, and it's going to help you increase the likelihood of you landing a role in tech. My colleagues from the National Black MBA Association will be here momentarily to provide you more information on that. Just quickly, here's the event flow for this afternoon's discussion. In a moment, I'll introduce you to our esteemed panelists. Shortly thereafter, I will ask them a number of preset questions. After that, we will take a few questions that you all may have posted in the chat box. Then at the hour, we'll go into small group breakout rooms so that you can connect with our recruiters, panelists, and one another in a smaller setting. That'll take place for about 25 minutes. Then we'll come back to this main room and conclude the meeting. Please, 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 please share your LinkedIn profile in the chat box. Start doing that now. And as you see people adding their LinkedIn to the chat box, we encourage you to add them as well. This is a recruiting and networking event, so it'll be prudent of you to connect with as many people on LinkedIn as possible. Recruiters and representatives from tech companies on this call, please be sure to include your company name with your screen name so that our career seekers can easily identify you. I'll also encourage you to answer any questions that you see come up in the chat box that you may have the answer to. As a reminder, please keep yourself muted until we go into the breakout rooms. And without further ado, I'll introduce our panelists. Our first panelist is Francisco Angelo, and he's been a support analyst at Coinbase for 6 months. He has 6+ years in customer experience field, mainly with financial institutions. He's been involved in crypto space since 2016 and is currently assisting with the onboarding process of new hires within the customer experience at Coinbase. Our next panelist is Tim McCarthy. Tim is a regional manager at Invitae based in Chicago. Tim began his career in sports science and personal training and decided to make a career pivot and break into the medical sales industry. Now with over 11 years of medical sales experience, 5 years focused on the biotech experience, Tim consistently drives toward and exceeds business goals while being a member of Invitae's Black Genetics ERG. Welcome, Tim. Our next panelist is Michael Payne. Michael Payne is a self-taught system administrator at Chime with a focus in technical voice systems. Michael has held many roles throughout his career, including product technical specialist at Pinterest, senior implementation manager and technical solutions engineer at Dialogue Tech Invoca, and customer success manager at Acton Software. Michael has demonstrated a passion for inclusion and diversity throughout his career. Some achievements he accomplished in this space include founding and developing Pinterest's response for George Floyd by creating the Pinterest Community Rebuild Program, now known as Pinterest Elevates. Founding the employee resource group Minorities in Tech at Dialogue, and now acting as events lead at Chime for Chime's Afro-Chime employee resource group. I want to welcome you, Michael. Last but definitely not least, we'd like to introduce Leroy Watson. Leroy was born and raised in Oakland, California, where he attended and graduated from high school. After high school, Leroy served his country with a combined 15 years of his service in the United States Navy, United States Army National Guard, with several deployments aboard aircraft carriers and extended tour in Iraq and Afghanistan. He has worked in the field of aviation electronics and electronics warfare during this time and was deemed a subject matter expert by many. He holds several degrees to include associate's degree in electronic system engineering, technology and laser technology, bachelor's of science in technology management, master's of science in systems engineering, engineering management, and is currently pursuing a doctorate in educational leadership at Liberty University. Leroy currently works as a system integration and mission equipment delivery manager for AFS, where he is responsible for delivering C5 ISR equipment in support of the Department of Defense and other national security programs, both nationwide and abroad. In his free time, Leroy enjoys his philanthropic activities, raising money for HBCUs, mentoring youth and young engineers and service members. He also enjoys spending time with his wife, Chantel, visiting their adult children and newborn granddaughter, Alea. We want to welcome you too, Leroy. And so what I'd like to lead with, and we can start with you, Michael, How did you get into tech?
Well, that is an amazing question. One, thank you everyone for attending today. So my career is a little bit more unorthodox. I went to Fair State University in Big Rapids, Michigan. I did not graduate, and I ended up having a kid, during college. So I started figuring out life at that point. And I actually started working at AT&T just as a retail sales consultant. So the typical person, selling your cell phones, activating and all that other good stuff. And the retail life was great for a very long time, but then I realized I didn't want to do it for the rest of my life. So I ended up going to be a technical recruiter for a smaller organization called Populous Group. And that's where I found that there were a lot of opportunities in tech that were really focused on, so that I can take some of my skills that I already had to be able to apply it into tech. So I actually went to have the opportunity to go to Act On Software as a customer success manager. They wanted someone who was really focused on being able to just be personal. Someone who came with a good attitude, who was able to actually bring that drive for being able to help customers out as a customer success manager. But I was only there for a short time, then they had layoffs, so they laid our entire Chicago office off. And I think that my true jumping off point for landing in the tech was pretty much taking what I learned as a recruiter and also learning primarily more what I've learned at AT&T for the skills of just being able to, in telco, to be able to apply it to this company called Dialogue Tech. They were looking for someone who's in support, who just knew the basic fundamentals of telco. And that's where I started. And, that's really my jumping off point for in tech.
Thank you. How about you, Francisco?
Well, thank you again for having me, and I appreciate everyone attending as well. For me, it's really started since I was born. I was throughout my entire life, I've grown up in the day and age where we've had social media, we've had technical advancements from the first cell phone to 10 years now having an iPhone that can pretty much do anything that you can really think of. And so I started working retail pretty much as well, but I worked in food service initially. And then from there, I kind of took off and went into, I started working at T-Mobile, so a little AT&T competitor. And it really started pretty much in 2016, especially with crypto. When Bitcoin started to take off, that's when I gained massive interest into going from customer experience, because I was working call centers, customer service, to then really focusing on crypto at that point, understanding the decentralization, the pseudonymity that comes with it. So I think 2016 is where it really took off for me. And so I think that it's an amazing thing, crypto, in terms of being able to in tech itself, to be able to approach or even speak with anyone, just like in this conversation we're having today, from all around the world. And I don't think that's really possible without tech. So that alone piqued my interest, and it's something where it's bigger than myself. And I've always wanted to be part of that. And so I think that's initially what brought me into tech, was 2016 in crypto, but also just seeing the massive scale that it has, and what it can bring towards making the world a better place, I think.
Thank you. You're up, Tim.
Yes. Yes, I am. First off, thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you everybody for taking the time to join. I fell into tech, funny enough. I've been a nerd all my life. I used to always just appreciate science and just knowing how things worked. So I, was grooming myself to actually become a physician. And after school, I was a personal trainer while I was studying my MCATs. And, an old teammate of mine said, hey, there's an opportunity for pharmaceutical sales. And I was so, just kind of dead set on becoming a physician. I don't think I even knew what pharma sales was. But a friend of mine at the time said, I think it's a good opportunity. I think it's something you should jump into. So, you know, I went ahead and did the interview raw as all get out. I was pretty bad, but obviously good enough to get the job. And, you know, I just saw it as a challenge, right? I saw it as a challenge. I was pretty comfortable with uh, biology and medical terminology and just, you know, kind of submerging myself in that world. So I kind of took off with that for about 2 years, started doing a little medical device. And then a recruiter on LinkedIn reached out to me and offered me an opportunity into bioinformatics, which are with a pathology lab called GenPath. So, you know, that was my introduction into bioinformatics and biotech, if you will. And, you know, like most sales roles, you kind of switch companies depending on, you know, the current at the time, if you will. And I ended up with Invitae. It was such a cool opportunity, a real dope company culture where I'm able to bring my skills as a sales professional and my nerd background and just appreciating, you know, how the body works and the genetics of the body and, you know, selling our technology to OBGYN. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
Got it. Thank you all. Leroy, I don't see you. If you're on the call, unmute yourself and then let us know how you got into tech. All right, I believe Leroy is having some technical difficulties, so when he's able to log back on, we'll come back to him. But how about this? You all are some three, you know, heavy hitting companies. What roles are available to those looking to transition to tech from other fields? What roles are available within your companies right now? And you can feel free to unmute yourself, whoever's ready for it.
I can jump in real quick. There are a lot of different roles that are available, you know, definitely within Chime and also other organizations and I can kind of give you some context on what I did to kind of start off my career. I would say definitely looking into customer success or client success or account executives is another good role. Also support or also SDRs if you are a role or in an organization that has a highly sales dense organization, you know, being a sales development representative. Those are all really good entry level roles to just look at and look for on LinkedIn to try to break into the tech space. Yeah, so those are just some pretty good ones. Just as you start to do your searches and your looks, that's where I would start.
I'll piggyback off of you, Mike. You know, coming from the sales professional, sales. You know, every company at the end of the day needs somebody to promote their product. You know, I kind of look at sales of every company as the wheel or the tire, if you will, right? Where the rubber meets the road. So, you know, here we are with this great technology or this great platform, this great service. How do we get this to our target market? So, you know, if you're comfortable with just, you know, you have strong communication skills, you're comfortable understanding the inner workings of the company or, you know, the technology, and you want to share that with the target market, you know, it's as simple as connecting the dots. So every company at some level, there's going to be some type of sales, like Mike said, account management, you know, regional sales, and et cetera.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think especially with my specific company here at Coinbase, I work customer experience. I started actually the first few months in customer support, working the cases and phones, and so you don't really equate that too much to tech, but I think any role itself can involve tech in some way. We use systems every day to monitor customers' activities, and so that involves some sort of technical experience as well. And then I also think that pretty much any role you can think of involves tech in any way. Here at Coinbase, that can be anywhere from customer experience, software development, marketing, analytics, like anything you can really think of. I mean, that's where we're hiring. So there's many roles that you can apply to tech, and using your roles that maybe not your skills that don't involve tech. You can use those to kind of shine through, like let's say in an interview, that'll help you gain that land that role in tech.
Thank you, Francisco. You bring up a good point, and I'd like to transition a bit to talk about those that are coming outside of the tech field, right? How do they translate, especially to a recruiter or a job interview, their experience to a tech recruiter to say, I'm from this area, I want to get a tech, I don't have a tech background, but I've done these things, right? What's the successful way you've seen that done?
Yeah, and it's kind of like, as I was saying, so yes, you if you don't really have any technical experience and you're trying to kind of relay that to a technical recruiter, what you can use your skills outside of what you know in tech. For me, for example, I had customer experience for 6 years prior to Coinbase. I know how to problem solve. I can communicate well with others, and so I use those skills in the interview itself to outshine some of my lacking technical skills. I'm not a software developer, but I kind of hobby it on the side, and so more of a novice. But you can use with the one method I always tend to use, especially if you don't know an answer to a question, is just being straight up and upfront, like, hey, I might not know the answer to this question right now, but give me the time, and I'll be able to get an answer for you on that. So that's one of my big things that I use all the time, especially in an interview. And I mean, also it's a little bit of fake it till you make it as well. Sometimes you just gotta present yourself as best as you can with the skills that you have available. And then just for my example, it landed me in a role in tech. So anything's possible.
I can piggyback off of that, Francisco. Every company at the end of the day has, problems to solve. And, that's where we as, employees or counterparts and colleagues, that's what we do. We're problem solvers. And if we pay attention to the problem that we're solving, that's where we find our value. So once you know what your value is, it's kind of transferable, right? As long as you know what the value is. So for example, for me, like I said, I start off as a personal trainer. I was not grooming myself to be a pharmaceutical sales rep. However, at the interview for the pharma opportunity, I had to sell the fact that I know how to bring value, right? I know how to bring value to a territory. I understand, if you know what it is that the company or the experience that you have, if you know what performance would decrease once you left and that role wasn't filled, that right there is the value that you add. So being very in tune with that and confidently bringing that into another role and saying, hey, you know what, I brought this value here, I should be able to do it here, even though I might not have the experience, but I'm willing and I'm open to learning, kind of similar to what Francisco was saying. I'm willing to fake it until I make it as well. But I know for a fact, I can communicate. I know for a fact I can problem solve. I know for a fact I can figure things out. So I think that, that's a cool perspective to have when you're going from one place or one industry to another.
And just to piggyback off of what Tim and Francisco was saying, I remember interviewing a while ago, and one of my mentors I was interviewing actually with my mentor, and I didn't have the experience for the role, but he did bring up a really valid point. He was saying that, hey, there are certain things that are teachable and certain things that are not teachable. And that's to Tim's point and also Francisco's point of, one, bringing a positive attitude, bringing a coachable attitude, saying, hey, I may not understand this role, but I am really good. If you look at my track record of learning things pretty quickly on the fly, being able to apply it and actually build value behind it. And that was something that was almost an aha moment for me a very long time ago when I was first starting into tech. Like, I may not have all the technical skills right now, but I know for a fact, as I want to do this role well, and I'm also going to learn it really well. And I'm one of those people like, yo, give me the ball, coach. If you give me the ball, I will figure it out. And that's just how you bring that mentality and that attitude, especially into like the interviews and everything like that. It will shine through and completely outshine, what you don't have, and be like, this person has the right attitude. I want this person on my team. And that's just been something that's served me well for a very, very long time.
Thank you. I want to double back because we got our fourth panelist. We're dealing with the technical difficulties on this technical call about tech. But we'd love to find out, Leroy, how did you get into the tech space?
Well, hello, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties on this technical call. I actually got into the tech by actually going into the military first. So I was technically trained in the military, going through technical school through the military. So I took another non-traditional route, not going to college first. And so once I was trained in the military, I got out the military initially in 2000. 9/11 happened. I thought I was going to have an illustrious career in aviation, but 9/11 happened. So I had to pivot from the aviation industry. So I had to figure out real quick what I was going to do with my life. So I went and transitioned into consumer electronics, found my way into the semiconductor and laser industry, and quickly found my way into there and been in the DoD consumer electronics industry ever since. Long story
Got
short.
it. That's good. That's good. Thank you. Non-traditional, right? I think, a lot of folks are coming to the space non-traditional, but here's a question I have for you. How important is recruiting? Networking when you're talking about landing a role in tech? This is a networking event. We got folks that are, they didn't put about 30 LinkedIn accounts in the chat. And again, reminder, please add those accounts. But can you all tell us your experience with recruiting and networking, and how's that working for you all? Or how has that worked for your career?
I'll kick it off. Networking is huge. Essentially there was a book, or I think actually it was a podcast that I was listening to. We're walking billboards, right? Every time we interact with somebody, they're consuming what it is that we're putting out. And every time you communicate, you're showing somebody or giving off what it is that you're about, what it is that's important to you, what it is that you would like to contribute to the world in so many ways, shapes, or form, right? I could be talking about, my favorite dessert, but just the way that I talk about it can give off a certain energy. So my point is, remaining in an authentic space, treating others the way that you want to be treated, that kind of helps open up people to, recognizing you as the brand, right? Like me, the brand of Temidayo McCarthy, right? There's certain things that people should consistently feel and think of when they come in, when they interact with me. So the upside of that is you never know which one of those individuals will open a door to an opportunity that's mutually beneficial to you and another party. So it's not about necessarily kind of always staying on, right? It's more about remaining true, right? And 9 times, everybody wakes up with great intentions, and want something positive out of life. So kind of living in that and connecting with folks, and that's kind of the high level approach. But there's also, the LinkedIn's and certain applications, even how you present yourself on Facebook, and social media. So, just kind of remaining true to the good energy that you have inside and remaining true to what it is that you want to contribute and get out of life.
Here's what I would say. As a person of color, I'm just going to keep it blunt. As a Black man, here's something that I will say to other people of colors, and especially as a Black man. Throughout history, especially in the tech industry, people have networked. This is something that we as people of color, and especially as Black men, we have not done. and this is keeping it 100. This is something that we need to do. It is not something you should do. This is something you have to do. It is a have to. You must network. Doors will not open for you voluntarily. You must open your own doors. If you don't advocate for yourself, you are doing yourself a disservice. So you have to be your number one advocate. And how you do that is through networking. You have to be your number one fan. You have to go out. You have to be a walking billboard for yourself. You have to build relationships. You have to tell people and show people what you can do, how you can benefit their organization, showcase your skills, show people how you can help them, and build relationships with other people. This is something that everyone else has done besides people of color, more especially us as Black people, more especially us as Black men, more so than any other group. Even Black women network more than us. So us as Black men in the tech industry, more so than any other industry, we network less than any other group in the tech industry. And that's something that we must do. So it is vital for us to be successful. We keep ourselves in the stovepipe in the tech industry. We keep ourselves alone. We're afraid that there's only a spot for one of us in that group. And that's false. It's not true. There's plenty of room for all of us. So we need to work with each other, to help each other. There's enough room for all of us to eat. And we need to assist each other with getting there. So that's one thing as Black men, I challenge each and every one of you to work with each other and help each other get there.
Thank you. Here's a quick question for you all. In regards to the tech space, a lot of people just assume you need a CS degree or whatnot, and you got to have a PhD and all this other stuff. Can folks, either fresh out of college or do other routes, fresh out of undergrad or other routes, have find a career in tech?
Absolutely. It's one of those scenarios that we all bring something to the table that's needed. And going back to the whole entire attitude, and also what Timmy was talking about with your aura and your walking billboard, we all resonate. We all are giving off some type of energy. And if you're bringing that right energy, that right attitude, that willing to learn attitude, and also taking what you already know, we all know something, right, that we can resonate into tech, taking that into the equation and finding that entry-level role, finding that support role, finding that sales role, finding a role that will at least get you through the door. Absolutely. In addition, there's also internships that you can think through as well. And also every software company has different roles that they're trying to find interns for. So looking for internships and looking for the lower level opportunities to help break into the space is always helpful. So yes, to answer your question, absolutely. Right out of college, you can definitely do something.
Yeah, most definitely. People want to know, corporations want to know what you can do for them. Corporations want to win, first and foremost. They want to know what they're going to get. They want to know what that return on investment is, right? And the truth be told, they want to get the most out of as little as possible that they can pay. That's the truth, right? They want to get the most out of as little as they can pay, right? So if they can get some skills out of you without having to pay for it, they're going to try to get a non-degree person to do what a degree person can do. So if you have the skills of a non-degree person and they can get that out of you, they're going to try to get that out of you. And best believe, if you can show them that you can do it, you have an opportunity to get into the tech industry. Now, I'm not going to be unrealistic and say that getting into the tech industry and then flourishing and promoting up through the ranks in the tech industry, those are two separate things, right? Getting into the tech industry and promoting up, there is going to get a point where you're going to reach a ceiling. If you don't get to certain certifications or certain degree levels, you will have to readjust and recalibrate. But once you get to a certain level, you will have to either get some more certifications or get some more education or get more degrees. But getting into the tech industry in a non-traditional manner, it is highly possible by just having certain skill sets, being able to promote yourself and showing your abilities outside of having a degree or certain certifications. I'm living proof.
And I like to add to what Leroy is saying. Add value. A business is nothing more, nothing less than a problem that is being solved, right? And they need more problem solvers. So if there's an institution, if there is a company, your dream company, you have to find out what your magic is, what makes you special, what problem you can solve better than anybody else, because that confidence is what's going to say, hey, you know what? I need that person to help make me another 7-8 figures, right? And if you can sell that, you shouldn't have any issue getting into the industry.
Yeah, and what I would like to add to all that as well is, especially in the crypto space, there's a lot of demand for software developers. So if anyone is especially looking into the software development, I've gone to plenty of crypto conferences where they are looking for top talent, regardless of being a 4-year grad or someone who's self-taught. And so not only software development, but as companies expand in the crypto space, they need all types of roles, whether that be customer experience, whether that be financial, finance, any kind of role that you can think of that a standard Fortune 500 company might have, will be readily available to most companies, or as far as positions in the crypto space. So yeah, straight out of college, or not even if you didn't even attend college, self-taught. As someone from experience, I actually didn't finish college, so it's just a matter of gaining that experience as well.
Let me pivot a bit. And we got some folks on this call that are in tech, that have been in tech, some that are new, some are looking to jump into tech. So my question to you all is, what do you wish you had known when you first got into tech?
I would say for myself, if I could go back, there's a couple of things that I would tell myself. The first would be to buy a Bitcoin in 2010. That would have been great. But actually, I would say, as cliche as it sounds, to get out of your comfort zone. It's like I said, it's cliche, but it's very true. I tend to be quite introverted, and if I could, I would say don't be afraid to ask questions. Or it's great to be a fly on the wall and listen to people with more experience, and gain that knowledge. But at the same time, engage in a conversation with others that are through any medium, either be here or at a conference or on Twitter or Instagram or Discord, any type of social media, because any conversation that you engage in, you could be contributing to that conversation in a meaningful way. And so we live and we learn. So I mean, it's also, don't be afraid of making any mistakes, because we will make mistakes throughout our journey. And so I feel like with those mistakes, we gain experience, and I think experience is the best way to learn and to gain a role in tech is through experience.
And I guess I'll just kind of piggyback off of that, Francisco, in regards to experience. It's pacing yourself and staying within the moment. Really understanding and recognizing what you are currently learning, so you can then apply it to the next role in the future. That's one thing that I moved fairly quickly throughout my career in the very beginning, because I was just kind of moving from role to role to role and growing without really getting the chance to really just enjoy that one role and really being at 130%, right? And also Francisco, to your point as well, extracting knowledge from everyone around you is something that is critical. And this goes back to having a network and all your peers and the mentors and all the executives that you're around, there's one quote that just sticks in my mind consistently. At what point do you start to realize that life without knowledge is death in disguise, right? It's one of those scenarios where you're always trying to continue to gain knowledge. So really focusing on just extracting as much information in the current role that you're currently are sitting in is crucial. Because so then when you do get to that next role, you're beyond equipped to be not only be amazing in that role, but for future roles that you continue to stack on top of. So just really focusing on just extracting as much knowledge and as much information and from everyone around you, but also in the current role that you're sitting in.
So what I would say is two things that I wish I would have known then what I know now. Is one is kind of piggybacking off what Francisco said, is being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Don't be scared to stretch yourself and challenging yourself to try new things. The best solutions are made in making mistakes. Being uncomfortable, not knowing, challenging yourself to try new things, to figure out solutions to problems, just being uncomfortable. That the stick-to-itiveness, not giving up, those things. I wish I would have knew that then. And also, probably the biggest thing I wish I would have known then, I've always had a thirst for knowledge and always learning more and trying more, but I kind of felt like I was just learning more without any direction. So I wish I had a mentor back then, someone who could have put me on the right path and gave me some direction. So find a mentor early on in your career. That is probably one of the biggest things that you can do to set yourself up for success throughout your life, is find a mentor early in your career. Those two things is probably primary to being successful and having a successful career. So those are the things for me.
I can answer that quickly. Yeah, being patient with yourself. It can definitely be a learning curve. Like I said, I kind of fell into this. I don't think I was grooming myself for tech. And there's a lot of smart people, a lot of smart people that you're around, and it can be intimidating. But being patient, just like the gentleman said, and being being patient with yourself and just learning at your own pace, and just knowing that it'll all click at some point. And to what Leroy is saying as well is find somebody that's got what it is that you want. Find that somebody that's carrying themselves or at a position that you like, and just introduce yourself. People, nobody's a better expert on anything else than themselves. So you'd be surprised going up to somebody that's in a position that you would like to be in, or that you could see yourself in, just asking questions. How are you? How did you get here? And something as small as that can lead into a mentorship relationship.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask one more question, and I'll start pulling these questions from the chat. So if you have a question on chat, please keep it coming. But tech interviews can be daunting, right? I think there's multiple rounds, there's multiple questions, people to deal with. How did you all navigate that? And what advice would you have for our career seekers on this call, who are, I'm going to say, that are going to have some interviews pretty soon after this call, and what they can do to be successful?
I'll jump in. Some things that have already been said. Confidence. Confidence in what your skills are. Coming to the interview knowing exactly what you do well, but also having humility. Don't feel that you need to know everything. Companies want to know that you're human. You're somebody of high integrity, and you're not going to make up something. When it doesn't apply or when it's inappropriate. I guess I don't know when there's ever a good time to make it up. But no, just, come with confidence, know exactly who you are, know exactly what it is that you want to contribute, what problem you want to solve. And that spirit of, I don't know the answer to that question, but I will find out, or I'll do whatever it takes to become to evolve into the highest level of, the role possible.
And I'll also say, Timmy, to your point, also value, understanding and knowing what value you bring to the table for the role that they're looking for, and formulating your questions around that, and fully understanding and knowing what pain point that the business is trying to solve for. So you can then kind of tie the value that you bring to that pain point is very important, because that allows them to know, okay, we have a candidate who can deliver what we're looking for, but in addition to that also brings additional skills and also a positive attitude. It's someone who's not easy, but is someone who we want to also work with at the same time. So definitely just that value piece and understanding what brings value to the company and also to you is very important.
So some of the things that I've done in the past is I researched the company, I researched the role that I'm trying to get into, and I actually go through LinkedIn or other various platforms to look for people who are in that position and kind of go through their profiles to see what type of experiences they have in their education and their background, and see how I align with those people who are currently in those positions. And then I actually kind of tailor my resume to make sure that I fit in line with them first and foremost, before I even get to the application process. And then once I research and everything, and I tailor my resume to make sure my resume is in line with what I know the company is looking for, because I've seen people in those positions already, then I prepare and make sure that I know the tag words, some of the things that they do, the products, the company background, and I prepare for the interview that way. And then I use what I call the STAR method, which is important: situation, task, action, and result. They want to keep it clear and concise. And I go into the interview and I give them clear examples of situations and keep it straight to the point. And then normally I get through an interview very fast and they have a clear idea of the situation, the task, the action I took, and then the result of those actions. And so you can kind of follow that blueprint. I think you'll set yourself up for success.
Thank you. Here's a question I'm pulling from the audience. And thank you all for submitting those. How important is telling your story with getting a tech? You know, and we could talk about whether that's in an interview, it's via resume, cover letter. How important is getting you across and then landing a role? Tim?
I think is very important. You know, this is the portion of the interview, I believe, where they're trying to find out if you're a good fit for the culture, you know, the company culture. And if you have a clear understanding of who you are and what your story is, they feel confident that they're bringing somebody on that is somewhat sure of themselves. And like I said, most of us wake up with great intentions. Now they can kind of match or get a picture of those intentions and say, hey, you know what? That's the type of person that fits this company culture. So I think it's very important.
I'll piggyback off of that as well. I think because when you go through the interview process, especially with the tech company, there's, as you said, multiple interviews. There's the technical interview where you showcase your actual skills within that role. And then there's also the behavioral interview, and that's where they get to know you as a person. That's where you kind of showcase yourself and as an individual. And as Tim said, see if you align with the company culture. And so I think within that behavioral interview, that's where you kind of, as I said, showcase yourself to the best of your ability. You know your worth. You know who you are as a person, and relaying that to another person to where they can understand it as well. Because we're all different. We're all different. We all have different mindsets, and so the best thing you can do is translate what you know about yourself and make it understandable to other people.
And with that as well, Francisco, just to kind of go piggyback off what you and Tim were saying, it also aligns with the overall company's values too. So, you know, almost every company has set values. You want to make sure that you align within those company values. In addition to also, they want to make sure that they're bringing on someone who will quote unquote mesh well with the team that they're going on, and also just the overall organization. You're bringing that attitude to the team to help move it forward and not necessarily cause any other friction, I would say. But overall, it's just more making sure that when you present yourself, making sure that you do align overall with the total company's values is something that's very important.
Well, I would just say, just to not to belabor this part of it, core values is extremely important. Not only for you to showcase what your core values are, but to exhibit what the core values of the corporation that you're trying to become a part of. And most interviewers, they want to know that you're going to bring your authentic self to their company. Most interviewers can sniff out if a person is being authentic or not in the interview. If you're just telling them what they think, that they want to hear, if you're just saying a bunch of stuff that, that they think, they want to hear, or if you're being honest. So I think it's very important for you to go into an interview and be honest and to bring your authentic self, because it's never a good thing to not be forthright and then you get into a situation where you don't match well with the company's culture and you get in a job or you're miserable and it's just not a good fit. It's not a good thing for you or the corporation. So it's always good to go into an interview and you bring your authentic self and tell your true story of who you are, especially in today's cultural environment. Bring your authentic self, because it's not only important for you to show who you are, but for you to see the company's core values as well. Because it's important not only for you to match that company's core values, but for that company's core values to match yours as well.
If I may piggyback off Leroy, I'm a big proponent of being your most authentic self, not only for, the interview's sake, right? But, it's 2022. I think folks are tired of trying to, wear the professional mask and, the personal mask and then this mask in the streets. And I think, once again, it's okay to be different. We don't all have to be, monolith employees. They don't all have to be the same. So, bringing your true authentic self and flavor is 100% okay, especially if you know the value that you're bringing. Because once again, the company wants to hire somebody that's going to help them make another 6, 7, 8 figures. So you do that. I mean, as long as, you're not an authentic jerk, you're an authentically good person, right? Be you, and I think, once again, companies can appreciate somebody that has that confidence, because they know I got somebody that's, they don't have to switch it up. Just solve my problem.
Exactly.
Everybody's happy.
Exactly. Well said.
Here's another question. How do you push past moments of self-doubt and not internalize silence or rejection from companies? And we know that happens a lot. How did you all get through that?
As a kid, allow me, if you allow me to go first on this one. As a kid who grew up in Oakland, who experienced a lot of moments of self-doubt, I learned to get past that at a certain age, because I realized rejection was just that. It was just rejection. It wasn't personal. And even if it was, it didn't matter, because guess what? There's going to be another opportunity. A new day is going to bring another opportunity, another chance for me to prove myself, and a new day. So if one chance and another opportunity didn't pan out the way that I wanted it to, that's going to give me another opportunity to work harder, to have another chance for another opportunity. So just treat every chance and every opportunity as just that. It's just another chance and another opportunity. You can't allow them to consume you or think it's something you did wrong. And if you get some negative feedback, you got to learn how to take that as a positive opportunity for you to get better and to better yourself. So just let those things roll off your back use them to benefit yourself and move forward, get better, and do better. That's it.
Thank
Just
you.
don't take stuff
Thank you.
personally.
We got one more person on this one because I want to try to get to as many questions as possible. So moving forward, let's just do 2 folks on each per question.
I guess I'll respond as well then. So second thing would be also imposter syndrome is something that's real inside of the tech industry. No matter what role that you're in, no matter how far that you go in your career, you're always going to feel like, man, like, why am I here? You know, am I the right person to be in this role? And it's one of those scenarios that you recognize that certain people, and Leroy, this is to your point of having mentors, for example, and having people who are always there and having a network that supports you. You are here for a reason. They hired you for a reason, and recognizing them, just keeping that in the back of your mind. And that's something I've always had to kind of put in the forefront, because I would sit in a role and be like, man, I can't look at this code base. I barely know what I'm looking at right now. This is new, right? But then all of a sudden you have to kind of push through it and really understand it and really take the time to understand it. So make sure that you give yourself space, time to understand the role, and just understand that imposter syndrome is a real thing, and it's something that will always come up, but just make sure that you're mentally there to push yourself forward, and always having that support system to kind of lean on when you do need them when that time comes. So yeah, that's just some of the thoughts that come up when it comes to self-doubt, because I've experienced that plenty of times in my career. And also rejection too is another thing where it's just, it is what it is. Not everyone's going to say yes. Not everyone's going to say, hey, you're the right fit. There's always additional candidates that are also amazing, who also have great experience. So you just have to kind of take that attitude with it and say that, hey, there is the right role out there for me, and I'll find it. So those are my two pieces there.
Got it. Got it. We're gonna ask this one. It's maybe the last one, but we'll see. But what would your advice be for someone who is networking remotely? Any tips that have helped you networking inside and outside of your current company as well? So networking remotely. I mean, of course, you're at this event, so that's one answer. I'll help out with that one. But if you have any other advice on networking remotely, and then also networking without networking within your current organization, what does that look like?
I'll jump in here. Well, first, with it being, 2022, with social media platforms like your LinkedIn, once again, having a clear picture of where you would like to go and connect with individuals in those roles that you would like to be in, whether it is, connecting with them on LinkedIn, whatever their social medias, whatever their the platforms and the things that they like to get behind. Find ways to get into those types of rooms and those spaces. Edify when you reach out, edify their movement, edify who they are, and edify what it is that you admire about them. And it's not, kissing up per se. I mean, if something resonates with you, it's resonating with you for a reason. So just continue to just plant those seeds. Just, don't think about what necessarily is going to come back to you. Just connect, reach out, and ask questions. Like I said, people are experts on themselves because nobody else walks those shoes. So if you find interest in that, connect, reach out, and continue to do things that you may not get an immediate return on your investment for, right? If once again, there's somebody that's in a position of power or a position that you see yourself in, and they're working on a seminar, they're working on something, hey, you know what? I bring this to the table. I'll do it for free just to be in your presence, right? Just to learn from. And just sometimes that type of energy can end up with a reward, like a role, right? Or if it's not now, it's later. So once again, keep branding yourself as somebody that wants to add value to who you want to be.
And Leroy, I want to steal your swag real quick. I hope you don't mind. But one thing that I've done throughout my entire career is definitely join ERGs, especially in the remote space. it's very important because you get a chance to meet people of color, and you get the chance to meet people of different demographics and backgrounds too. And you will be able to open up, employee resource groups are the name specifically. So, or other companies have different acronyms for them, but just being active in those groups is something that has been a huge, not only benefit, but a way for me to find additional mentors, find additional peers who are like-minded, and just allow me to expand my entire network in that way. So my suggestion is, if your organization does have ERGs, get involved, and always have something outside of just your day-to-day paying role that you're focusing on and doing, so you can kind of have that balance. So those would be just two things that I'll call out. Thanks for that reminder, Leroy.
Well, we're at the hour. I want to thank everyone right now, because we're going to go to breakout rooms, but I realize some people may need to leave. And so I want to thank our 4 panelists. Thank you all for your insights, your knowledge, your wisdom, extremely helpful. I want to thank the San Francisco chapter of National Black MBA Association, Chime, Invitae, Coinbase, for helping us create this event. Now, as a reminder, I spoke on this at the beginning, but the San Francisco chapter of National Black MBA Association will be hosting a virtual session on how to improve your resume with practical strategies. I think it's going to be in 4 hours. Maisha, their president, is on the call. She's going to put that in the chat for you. Please register and attend. It's going to help you. As a reminder, we're going to be sending out an email to you all, everyone who registered, to submit your resumes. To submit your resumes to the recruiters and the companies that are represented on this call. Look out for that email. It should be coming within the next 24 hours, and make sure you do that, so that way we can connect you with folks. In any event, at this time, we're going to go into breakout rooms. You'll have an opportunity to connect with each other, which is important. Don't forget that part, but then also with the other career seekers. I'm going to ask that you please introduce yourself when you go in the breakout room. If you're a career seeker, talk about what roles you're interested in, and then talk about where you're located, what part of the world. I know we have people all over the world at this point. If you're a company rep, please introduce yourself, your role within the organization, and what roles your organization has available, and then just keep the conversation free flowing. Thank you all again, and I hope you all had an opportunity to tap into all these LinkedIn profiles. Let's connect, let's help one another, let's create opportunities and resources for one another, and let's help as many people as possible break into tech. I think Maisha can push it to the breakout rooms now. And again, appreciate you all for being here.